Angela Bussio is with us today.
So glad to
Welcome.
be back. Thank
Good
you
to have
so
you here.
much on a special day.
On a special day. And,
Yeah.
and why don't we go right into it? Tell us, you know, I was reading what you sent, and you're right. We make every little bit of spilled milk into an emergency or a tragedy.
Absolutely, and that's what we want to talk about today is how our bodies respond to an emergency and how it's killing us. We live in such a stressful world, and the chemistry that is created in our bodies when we perceive that we are in an emergency state is literally killing us. And we want to talk about how we can switch that around today. Now, I'm the queen of false emergencies. So when I found this technique by Dr. Gerald Epstein, which I share with permission today, I was absolutely thrilled because it has changed my life. It's helped me lose weight. My body has started to transform. I am able to be calm in situations, and it's simply by redefining what is a true emergency. Now, I can imagine that every one of you had 15 emergencies from the time you woke up till you got here. I mean, an emergency can be a glass dropping, and we go into the future and say, oh, what's going to happen if that glass drops? Or we're driving to work, and we're late. What's going to happen if I'm late? All of these kind of responses create a pharmacy in our body. There's a cellular reaction. It's called fight or flight, and it was put there to help us survive.
And with a real emergency,
With
right?
a real emergency.
Right.
The problem is that when you're having your thyroid excrete thyroid and your pancreas excrete insulin and norepinephrine, when they're not actually being used to help you run away from a lion, you have a problem. And that problem is killing you, because when you're in a normal emergency state, you would be running or you would be lifting up a car. And during that time, your body would have an outlet for those very potent hormones and things that happen in the body to prepare it for an emergency. When you're sitting on your couch in your living room responding to a phone call that you just received that has made you very upset, there's nowhere for that energy to go. There's nowhere for that to be digested. And what happens is we have cellular responses in our body to that. We get nauseous. We get diarrhea.
Yes, I've noticed that.
We throw up. We sweat. And we call those symptoms, and then we go to the doctor and we get medicine for all this, but really, and then we have another emergency because I have diarrhea, there must be something wrong. Then we create another emergency, and we have this cycle going on in our bodies all the time. And so we're medicating, but I want to teach you today how to stop it and how to discern between a real emergency and a false emergency. My definition of a real emergency is this. If someone has a gun pointed at my head and is ready to blow my head off, that is a real emergency. That's good.
You know, so often here on the set, things won't go quite right, and I keep saying, you know, it's okay. Nobody's life is hanging in the balance. It's not surgery. Because I just think, is it going to matter in 5 years or 5 hours or even 5 days, you know, whatever?
And that's a wonderful perspective, and that's the perspective we need to kind of raise our awareness. Gosh, is this a real emergency, or am I making this up? And that awareness itself can help us to shift out of that. And I have a little quick process that I'm going to teach you about how to get out of that. The first thing is to breathe. There is a response in the body called the vagal response that will immediately stop that pharmacy. And it's basically just breathing in through the nose, very deeply, and then a very long exhalation, okay? And so that's the first step that we're going to do, is just breathing, and first being aware, this is not a real emergency, and then taking that big, deep breath.
Have you noticed how often the answer to our problems is to just breathe?
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
And like I said, it's a vagal response. It actually stops that pharmacy.
It's the one thing that we forget, too.
Yeah, and the next step is kind of an interesting thing. We have to do things to kind of shock our bodies when we want our minds to listen. So you actually talk to yourself in the third person, and you say, Angela is creating a false emergency. And your body all of a sudden pays attention. Who are you talking to? Oh, you're talking to yourself, you know. And you basically just say, Angela is creating a false emergency. The emotional states that I'm creating are not good for me. And I choose peace instead of this. I choose something different instead of this. And that very process creates a new response in the body. Our bodies are so responsive to the thoughts that we have because your mind really is your body. We're finding that out.
Yes.
That you have serotonin receptors all over your body, and that your brain is really a bag of hormones that responds to your thoughts and then causes these reactions throughout our body. And what a wonderful revelation that is, to know that we can control some of these responses that we have felt such victims to in the past. And that when we make those choices to stop those responses, we're actually choosing life instead of death. Because over time, yes.
Yes.
But over time, these cellular changes that are in responding to these emergency pharmacy break down the cell and literally cause degeneration and death in our bodies.
And probably premature aging. And we're all concerned about that, right?
Premature aging. So if you want the fountain of youth, recognize, number one, what is a true emergency in my life?
Okay, yes, recap those.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's
So what's a true-
recognize what is a true emergency.
Okay.
Is there a gun at my head?
Yes.
No, there's not a gun at my head.
No one's life is hanging in the balance.
Exactly.
Okay.
Number two, breathe.
Breathe, okay.
Breathe. Number three, speak out loud to yourself. Choose the opposite of whatever is happening. I choose to feel peace. I choose to feel that everything's going to be okay, even if I'm late. The world's not going to end. So it's a new
So it's just
perceptual
3 things.
reality.
Great.
And I would recommend you going to my site, angelabussio.com, because I have Dr. Epstein's program available called the Phoenix Process, which has changed my life and I use it with my clients. And also, other products and things and articles that will help you change and shift your perception.
Thank you.
You're
welcome.
welcome.
That was so valuable.
It's been
Thank
so
you.
valuable to me. I
Thank
hope
you.
it's valuable
Thank
to
you
someone
so
else
much.
as well.
Thank you, and we
You're
look forward to having
welcome.
you back.
Thank you so much.